If you've been scrolling through endless listings, watching demo videos, and still feel that knot of doubt about which commercial juicer actually lives up to the hype, you're not alone. I've spent the last few weeks looking at specs, digging into warranty details, and even reading the handful of reviews left by people who actually tried the Santos 68. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What follows is a straight-to-the-point rundown of what you can expect when you pull this machine out of the box and try it in a real-world setting. First off, the Santos 68 is marketed as a workhorse. A 3,600 revolutions per minute motor paired with a claim of 140 liters per hour of juice sounds like enough power to keep a bustling CAF, a school cafeteria, or a juice bar flowing nonstop. In practice, that throughput translates to roughly one large batch every 5 minutes if you're feeding it a steady stream of fruit and vegetables. For anyone who needs to serve dozens of smoothies or fresh juices during a busy lunch rush, the speed can be a genuine advantage. The fact that the unit comes NSF and UL certified also means it meets the health code standards you'll need for a commercial kitchen, which removes a common roadblock when you're trying to get a new appliance approved by inspectors. But speed isn't the only thing that matters when you're deciding whether to invest in a commercial juicer. The Santos 68 comes with a separate pulp bucket that sits next to the machine. That's a practical detail. You can keep the pulp contained and empty it without having to stop the machine or reach into a hidden compartment. If you're planning to make juice that's meant to be pull-free, you'll still need to run the juice through a strainer, but at least the pulp doesn't clog the main chute. The downside is that the bucket adds to the footprint. In a tight kitchen layout, the extra width can force you to rearrange other equipment, and the bucket itself is a plastic container that can wobble if you're not careful when it's full. One thing the product page makes clear is that the version you're looking at does not include a pulp discharge tube. That option is sold separately. For a high-volume operation that wants to keep the pulp line moving continuously, having to buy an extra accessory can feel like an unexpected hidden cost. If you're a small-scale operator who only needs to juice a few hundred glasses a day, the bucket alone might be sufficient. If you expect to run the juicer for 8 hours straight and want the pulp to be removed without manual intervention, you'll probably want a budget for the tube. The motor's 3,600 revolutions per minute rating is respectable, but the real test is how the machine handles the variety of produce you'll throw at it. In the limited feedback we have, the average rating hovers around 2.7 out of 5 stars from 12 reviewers. That suggests a mix of experiences. Some users may be happy with the output, while others run into trouble. A common practical issue with commercial juicers of this size is that they can be noisy. The Santos 68 is no exception. The motor's high speed creates a hum that can be heard across an open kitchen. If you have a dining area right next to the prep station, the sound level could become a distraction for both staff and guests. Maintenance is another practical concern. The machine's design makes it relatively easy to disassemble the feed chute and the juice outlet for cleaning, but the pulp bucket must be emptied frequently to avoid overflow. The bucket itself is a simple plastic container, which means it can become stained over time and may need to be replaced if you're juicing very pigmented fruits like beets or carrots. Because the warranty covers 2 years on the unit and 5 years on certain components, you have a safety net if something fails early, but you'll still be responsible for routine cleaning and any wear on the bucket. Who should actually consider buying this juicer? If you run a mid-sized juice bar that serves roughly 150 to 200 customers a day, and you need a machine that can keep up without requiring a full-time operator, the Santos 68's throughput and certification line up nicely. It also makes sense for schools or hospitals that need to produce large batches of nutrient-rich juice for staff or patients, where the ability to run the machine continuously for an hour or more is a real benefit. The inclusion of the pulp bucket is handy in these settings because staff can quickly dump the pulp without stopping production. On the other hand, if you're an entrepreneur just starting a weekend market stall, or a small CAF that only needs to serve a handful of juices during peak hours, the Santos 68 may be overkill. The size, the noise level, and the need to possibly purchase a pulp discharge tube all add up to a higher total cost of ownership than you might need. For those cases, a countertop centrifugal juicer with a smaller